Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first ever Civil Matters podcast, where we're going to talk about civil construction as well as civil matters as it pertains to society as a whole. In the studio, we have a couple folks from Hutchinson Construction, a local civil contractor here in DFW, Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. And what we're talking about today are the talent shortages, specifically with the craft, the field, the tradesmen of the civil industry. And we'll also be talking about, for the societal civil matters, is the border security. So we'll jump right into it. We have here Travis Bergen and we have Craig Pignataro with us. So first, we're going to talk about the talent shortages as it relates to craft, and just to kind of open this up. So none of us in the civil industry can find enough talent. There's a ton of work to get done, and we have a shortage with skilled tradesmen and women. I think that's been an ongoing trend for the last few decades, really. And I think personally, a lot of it is attributed to just culture. You know, we've been trained to pursue a degree, like, you know, and trades is almost a dirty word.
Yeah, the white collar, the finance, the glitz, the glam, not
Right.
the hard work, the dirty, the sweat off your brow. Even though compensation wise could be comparable, if not better, in the trades, the perception right now, and it's been, like you said, on the decline for a while, is trades are not a glamorous career to go into.
Why do you think that is? 'Cause when I was a kid, I remember my mom, she was preaching to me about doing good in school. You need to get good grades so you can go to college. You don't want to be a ditch digger.
Mm-hmm.
Well, surprise, Mom, I'm a ditch digger.
Yeah.
So why do you think that is?
I think with technology, how it's constantly advancing, it gives people kind of a different route. I mean, if the way, kids are raised nowadays, you go to a restaurant, you see kids with iPads sitting in front of them, right? So they don't have, as kids growing up, they don't play with those tractors anymore, those trucks, those dump trucks, those haul off trucks, so I think that has a little bit to do with it. They kind of start learning about different things at a younger age, and they never kind of see, construction side of things. So I think kind of how you grow up and how you're raised and brought up could have a little bit to do with it.
I sort of think too, over history, it was always, you did what your father did for generation after generation. But I don't know, looking what generation you want to call it now, but 2-3 generations ago, it was, you know what, I want my kids to have a better life than I had. And I worked my butt off grinding out in the trades so they could get an education and go in and have a job that's out of the elements, that's out of the sweat. And I think it was a big push to better the next generation.
But to Travis's point, it's a different culture today with all the technology. The folks like my dad, working in the trades, they didn't have the technology you have today. And I mean specifically in the trades. So when you were working in the trades, you were picking up tools, you're picking up shovels, and you're picking up hammers.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, like, our equipment is run off GPS. It's automatic, and they even have autonomous equipment that runs like a robot. I think somewhere along the line,
I don't think a lot of people know that, though. I mean, for instance, we had we had a marketing person come out to one of our sites earlier this week, and not familiar with the construction trade, and just briefly introducing to the GPS systems that are on our dozers, blew their mind. And then that led down the rabbit hole of the robotics and the self-driving excavators and skid steers and stuff like that. And
So do you think
people didn't even know that was.
So do you think the current generation knew that, say, operating equipment is more like what they do on their iPad or playing a video game, that we'd get more into the trades?
So I'm gonna throw this out there. There's a game, I've never played it, but there's a game called Farming Simulator where you sit there on your little gaming system, whichever one it is, and you just drive a tractor, and it's doing whatever you want it to. I think that could potentially, like a little game like that could potentially lead to something like this, because it is kind of the exact same thing as when you're sitting in a dozer with GPS and how the blade kind of self-levels itself to where you need it to be. It's almost the exact same thing as a little simulator in a game.
Right.
So
Well,
I think
And they
growing up
make
playing that,
simulators now. You can be we could sit here and have 3 dozers setups and be running an actual dozer out in the field, but sitting next to each other, almost
Right.
like a drone.
kind of like drones, yeah.
Well, and they use the simulators now to train. There's folks that offer a service doing that come around in a box trailer that has a simulator in it, and they train your crew.
Yeah, and I think the technology is piquing more interest, but it's still lagging the nomenclature or the expectations that it's a blue collar job.
Yeah,
And breaking that, I think, is a lot more difficult than getting people excited, because I do think the technology will get more people excited, but still convincing people that technology and being in a blue collar job is still a good place to be. It's
Sure.
not. It's not a negative against you.
What are you going to say, Todd?
it's not a glamorous job, right? So when you're thinking about what you want to do for a career, unless you were kind of brought up in it, like a lot of people in this industry are, it's not something that people look to and be like, oh man, that that's easy, I want to do that. And that's another issue. That's a whole other rabbit hole we can get into at some other point in time. But a lot of people look to what's easy, right? And so they don't realize that with how technology advances, that things are getting easier in the blue collar setting, but they don't look at this job as an easy job. They look at it as, oh, that's a hardworking job. Oh, I'm going to get dirty. I'm going to do this.
A lot of the jobs in the trades, though, especially in civil, aren't necessarily that way anymore due to the technological advances. They've become, I feel like they almost blurred the lines between white and blue collar, right? And I mean, you operate in a machine, you have air conditioning, you've got a radio, you've got GPS automatics,
Heated seats.
I mean, it's
yeah, it's nicer
great.
than most people's vehicles. Some of the equipment.
Even on the professional side for a minute, I still think, if I could go back, if I could not go to college, not spend $60,000-$70,000 on an education and 4 years of time, and someone would have hired me directly, I could have been a project manager by the age of 22, 23, instead of making project manager by the age of 27, 28, and have been that much further ahead, because you really only do the learning once you're out of college. Right. I think that's one area that could help improve is, more companies willing to hire folks out of high school rather than out of college.
Well,
you don't really need that piece of paper to do this job.
I think that's also hurt the industry on the knowledge of construction, because it's almost like the degrees become, it's not mandatory, but perception that it's mandatory is you're losing a lot of that knowledge that's earned their way up through the field as well. You don't see as many people working their way from laborer to project manager. All the project managers and stuff are coming out of school and only out of school. And it's the disconnect between office and field is only growing, which leads to more difficulty, more shortages, more disconnect, instead of making it more seamless and bringing things more together. So I think,
which is a disservice, because then you lack the experience and the knowledge of working through issues and really understanding how to build.
Absolutely.
I think that's been a big thing. We're really losing that master builder.
That's exactly yep.
Yeah.
Everyone knows what the textbook says to do, but they've never built, and that's becoming a big big and more common occurrence on sites is when issues arise, because it's construction, issues always arise. It's not a perfect science like it is on paper. How to deal with them, how to come to a team conclusion, a path forward, and everything is becoming more and more difficult.
So, a couple ideas, just throw out some ideas on how to get more folks involved with the trades. One, I think high school recruiting. You do not need to go to college and spend, even if you want a traditional white collar job in construction and be a superintendent or PM, you don't need to go to college to do that. We here at Hutchinson, we would take folks out of high school and teach them how to be superintendents and teach them how to be PMs, and they'll be 5-6 years ahead of any peer that decides to go to school first. But also recruiting for the trades, and to y'all's point, training them, informing them of the technological advances and what it really is like to be in the civil industry today versus 40 years ago.
Well, and I think civil is kind of on the back of the, probably one of the worst in the construction industry of getting people into the trades as well. Whereas, say, like a plumber or electrician, they've really come a long way on the trade schools and apprenticeships and things like that.
Well, even the high schools, they have programs.
Exactly.
But it's usually only MEP that they have programs.
Yeah, and I think civil specific needs to, get into that more. Now, granted, it's a lot harder to have big pieces of equipment, but that's where the technology comes in, the simulators and things like that.
Right.
But I think that's a struggle that the civil has, is they have not kept up with the schools, with the trade schools,
Yeah.
to train their people. And you
I may
basically
be-
just have to sell it to someone. Hey, come work. It's a good job. Just take my word for it. And
Well, I
that-
may be biased, but I think running a piece of equipment with heated seats, air conditioning, and a radio pushing dirt all day is way more fun than walking around a building
I would agree.
unclogging pipes or
Yeah.
hanging pipe from,
And that's where I think, like you said, just getting into the high schools and sharing that that's what it's like, because people don't know that. People don't know that this, like you said, is not what it used to be. You're not sitting in a greasy machine, dirt covered on your face. You're hot as can be under, sitting on a diesel engine.
equipment has cabs now.
Yeah. I mean, we had a guy running a piece of equipment down in Georgia for years. It was 90 degrees out. He had to wear a Carhartt jacket every day because the AC was blowing so cold. You asked him why don't you just turn the AC a little lower? He goes, I've never had a machine with AC. I'm blasting this AC as cold as I can. I don't care if I got to wear a jacket. This is great.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It is. It's different.
When it comes to the high schools, I think that it's gonna be hard nowadays with where we're at in this world to kind of pitch to an 18-year-old kid, 17, 18-year-old kid, hey, come work at this construction company as a laborer to start off with 2 years, where you are getting dirty and you're digging and you're actually putting in work. That word work has a very negative connotation nowadays. Hard work is not very sought out by younger kids. And so I think when you go to a high school, yeah, it sounds all great that that our equipment has GPS and air conditioning and all this other stuff, but what are they going to have to do to get there first? Could you put them right in there to begin with? Sure. But that's not kind of how you want to start off. Like you're talking about, you want them to understand the basics of it from the very beginning. And so I think throwing out that hard work is kind of going to put them off.
Yeah. My uncle used to say all the time, you can either do your time now or you can do it later. There's no shortcut. If you put someone in that equipment too early, they're going to cause all kinds of damage, may hurt someone. You have to do the time.
Absolutely.
You can't lower the standard just to get folks in a seat or, make them a pipe fitter. You got to do the time to know how to handle issues. But for anyone that would that's willing to do the time and put in that work and get the experience, I mean, there's so much opportunity, and it shouldn't be a 4-letter word anymore to be in the trades. Um, it's just so much more fun, I think, than some of the other alternatives outside of construction.
Absolutely. And
Completely
there's no
agree.
shortage of work coming.
No. Now we're going to head over to our equipment moment, where we're going to do a short introduction to an excavator.
Hello, my name's Clint Osborne. I work for RDO Equipment. I'm a salesman for Hutchinson Construction. They recently purchased 3 machines: a 544 wheel loader, an 850 dozer, and a 350 excavator. We're just going to do a quick walk around on some of this equipment, talk about some of the points of them, and see the benefits that Deere has. So one thing to note about this, the 544P, it's a great utility dozer. It's got a quick coupler on the front. You can pin on a bucket, you can pin forks, several attachments can go on and off of it. So it makes it great for utility jobs, whether you're having to lay pipe, stuff like that. Quick turn attachments, works great. To start here, I think the first thing we need to do is just go ahead and do a walk around of the equipment, talk about some of the features, some of the daily checks, and what an operator might expect every morning when they come out. So first thing we want to do, just check everything, check your bucket, make sure it's in, walk around, check your tires, make sure they're in good shape. You'll want to check the tire pressure occasionally, but you can get a good idea whether the tires are low, stuff like that. Your first checkpoint here, right here, you've got your transmission checkpoint. You can see it's good, it's not running. Next thing we do, we'll run around. We'll make it very easy. John Deere makes it very easy to open this up. The original checkpoint is here. You can see right here, your fuel filter, oil filter, OCD filter. Real easy to get to. Your diff check is here. That's not something you have to check all the time, but it is in a pretty convenient spot. One benefit that I think John Deere has is how easy our coolers are to access. You just open up a few panels, and every one of your coolers is easily available. You can check, make sure there's no clogs, check your fins, make sure everything's good to go. That way you know you're not going to have overheating issues, something of that nature. Come around here, this is the other side of the engine. Again, you can readily see everything. If there's any oil leaks, anything like that, you'll definitely notice. And again, through here, we just want to walk around, make sure everything's in good shape. Check your articulation area for any leaks, anything of that nature. And at this point, yeah, everything looks, at this point, pretty good. All our fluids are good, tires are good, everything's good.
So that's a good segue into the border security. So that's a hot topic in our country right now. What to do about border security? There's a lot of proponents of allowing as many immigrants as possible to fill some of the seats. That, to your point, Travis, that the younger generation today in the U.S., they don't want to get dirty and do work. There's a lot of folks that would love an opportunity to come here, and they're more than happy to do those jobs. And then you have proponents on the other side that don't necessarily want to see that happen. So I personally feel like there's a common middle ground that we could find. I'll go first. Like me personally, I think we have to have security as a country, but at the same time, I think it would be awesome to have, a program in place to bring as many immigrants that want to come, that have a skill that we can, absorb in society and help society grow as a whole.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, it's so tough to talk on these days, without getting someone upset about it. But yeah, I agree. Having some kind of program, because there are a lot of people in this world that are very talented in exactly what we do, and with how everything is nowadays, it's tough for them to get here, to this country and be able to get put in that seat. So, I mean, that's a hard thing to do, to get a program together to be able to get those guys over here. They have work visas and stuff like that
Yeah.
you can do, but
most of those are for technical jobs. They're for
Technical, medical.
doctors,
Mhm.
right.
computer IT stuff. I mean, how many I don't know this, but how many visas are handed out for
Ditch diggers.
Yeah,
ditch diggers,
that's a great
operators,
question.
Mm-hmm.
carpenters?
Right.
Yeah, and down here, being that we're in Texas, it's almost overly sensitive to us because we're right at the heart of it. Now,
Mhm.
obviously, we're up here in North Texas a little bit, but there's two sides to it. We see the influx a little bit more than most, but also on the other side of it, we have a little more extreme weather, and it's harder to find people willing to work in 115 degree weather as well. So you kind of see the seats are even harder to fill, but you have more people that are coming in willing to do it. It's a really weird song and dance.
Right.
And like you were saying, a program or a process for willing people to come in would be great. How it's going right now is it's a mess. It can't continue as it is now.
It's not organized.
It's just
And
absolute
then
chaos.
we're not allowed to hire
Right.
some of these immigrants that don't have the work visas, but at the same time we have these labor shortages.
Exactly.
So you're kind of put in a bind.
Mm.
But if they have a skill that's useful to society, what are we waiting for?
Mm-hmm. Good luck with that one.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there's.
Yeah. It
I almost feel like it's used. It's used as a football to
It
toss
is.
around,
it very much is.
rather than actually being willing to solve the problem. Because I don't feel like the problem is that difficult to solve,
No.
right?
No, it's been the same problem for at least 30 years, if probably even
Right.
longer than that. And yeah, it just tosses it back and forth, but never actually solves the real heart of it. Is the people that are good, hardworking people vet out the criminals and find a more efficient path to get them to become hardworking Americans.
That's it.
That shouldn't take 10 years.
No, you just solved it.
I'll take the check.
Great job. Good job, Craig.
Yeah.
All right. So I appreciate y'all's time today and talking about these topics, and I think they're really important for us to solve. And hopefully we can keep the conversation going and find that middle ground, that happy ground. And as far as immigration, border security, and to help, I think that's part of the equation, to help the talent shortages, not only for civil construction, but construction as the whole
As a
industry.
whole, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, construction it's not going away, and it's going to just continue to grow because there's such a need in this country for new roads, new houses, new buildings, all the infrastructure to support it. It's not going away. So it's going to be an ongoing topic.
I think this podcast is a great start. I'm not sure how many other civil construction podcasts are out there, but we're a social media, generation now.
Mhm.
Everything that people can find is on the internet, right? So starting this podcast to try and get the word out there, like, hey, this is a great career to get into, and I can vouch for that. Haven't been in it very long, but I fell in love with it very quickly, and I can't wait to learn more and keep going with it. So I think getting this started and the college visits y'all are doing,
Yeah.
I think you are on the right path to at least getting the word out there and trying to get people into this industry.
Appreciate that. That's the whole point, because no matter where you go, no matter what you're doing, driving on a road, in a home, out to dinner, literally everything that it allows our society as a whole to thrive and grow rest on a foundation of civil construction. Now that we've said all that, we have a quick segment that's a little lighter. It's called Lifestyles of the Not So Civil. All right, everybody. Lifestyles of the Not So Civil. Every now and then, working hard. Sometimes you just need a drink to kind of relax with. So we're headed over to Lockwood Distilling, and we're going to try a couple of their spirits and give you guys some feedback. Come on in. We got a cinnamon rum. Kind of interested, how much like
It's rum versus whiskey.
I'm not gonna drink all that. I'm gonna drink half of mine, and then we'll come back to you.
It's about
My favorites.
6 minutes from the ski resort. No, it's
Pretty much Fireball.
Angel Fire.
A little smoother.
Like it better? Okay. All right. My next one's my unique one. We're going with the absinthe. It's a nice.
Say that 7 times.
Yeah,
real fast.
right? Have a couple of those and see what happens. It's a nice green color.
BB absent.
I was roughly 38% engineers.
How are you? It's got a licorice taste.
Good.
Licorice. But actually it was pretty smooth. And then our next one is the bourbon cream. Now, this is not the seasonal, this is their year-round bourbon cream, so it's a little lighter than the eggnog. So right here. It's got almost like a Bailey's taste to it, almost like an Irish thing. Pretty good.
I think it's better than Bailey's. It's not quite as sweet.
Yeah, it's a little bit sweet. Nice.
About it.
It's really like,
Good after dinner.
yeah.
I'd get that one again. Thanks for joining us.
And now we're gonna head back over to Max for our weekly pro tip.
Howdy, this is Max with Hutchinson's Pro Tips. Today we're going to be talking about greasing your machines and keeping them lubed. So, as you can tell on this machine, it's nice and lubed already, but you got to make sure that the grease is coming out from every single port. There's a lot of ports that you'll see that they'll be dry. All these are nice and wet, but a lot of ports will be dry, and that's when you start getting a lot of damage. No one likes any damage like that, you know what I mean? Equipment doesn't like it, she don't like it, I don't like it, we just like to move on. Alright, so what we do with our machines is we like to stretch them all the way out because there's always good spots that's really hard to get, it's hard to find. But you gotta grease those too and keep them wet. So what we do is we stretch out a machine every day, we grease every single point until the grease is gushing out of each point, just to make sure there's no metal on metal grinding. You also need to inspect the top part of the machine. There is 6 or 7 more ports up there. As we walk around the machine, you'll see that she has ports just about everywhere on the machine. And when you go around it, you just want to make sure that you hit it and make sure every one is primed and ready.
Yeah, appreciate all of you for tuning in and hope you tune in to the next one. But yeah, don't forget, civil matters.